नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि.
Nityanandam, we welcome one and all visitors, viewers, participants watching this Vakyartha Sadas by the Balasans of Nityananda Gurukul. Today the topic for the Vakyartha Sadas will be on the physiology of reality, Kalpataru, manifested reality.
So I have a question. What is exactly meant by Kalpataru?
So what I feel by the word Kalpataru is like if you see in the Sanskrit grammar, Kalpataru means that the wish granting, anything that is wish granting. So you see that in our Vedic history and all, you'll be able to see that Indra had a Kalpavriksha tree. He had a tree which fulfills any wish you have. And then so same way, Swamiji has installed Kalpavriksha, Kalpataru here in our Vedati ashram, which grants any wish you have. It is not just wish granting tree, it is just something that removes your incompletion and aligns you to your right path. That is what I feel.
What is it as Kalpataru? Kalpa is the visualization, imagination and all that. And Taru means the giving, that which gives. The giver, that which gives is Taru. So Kalpataru exactly means to manifest your reality or that which gives you what you want.
I have a question, like how Swami says that Kalpataru doesn't grant whatever you ask, but whatever you feel. Whatever you believe. I don't exactly understand what Swamiji meant by that.
So
You see, in our day-to-day life, we want so many things. We want big car, we want to live in a very good manner, and so many things we have. We want to have a beautiful nature, full time no current cut, good data, good phone, good laptop, everything we want very great. We want to become a billionaire. So much we want to do in our life. But if you see in our life, but what do we believe? If it is always a middle class man, all that he will believe is it's not possible. It's not for me. No, I know it will not happen. Even if I want, I know no one is going to grant me that. No, from nowhere the bundle of gold coins are going to fall and then I am going to become rich. Nothing. So it is not for me. It will not happen for me. This is what we believe truly, and that's what manifests in our life. If you see a middle class man, always you see he'll only be like a very medium amount salary, and what he'll do, he'll see like this, and so much. He'll feel like he's not satisfied with what he has, and he'll always be very much insecure about the money and all that. That's why, because of his belief, what he believes is that he will not get what he deserves, what he feels, and what he wants. But if you see many people who believe that it is possible, they can become a billionaire, they can make it happen. Anything you want. If, for example, I want a chocolate, I can make it happen now. If you believe chocolate will come by today, it will come here. Because there is a power of physiology of reality. You can manifest reality through your own very physiology, which is actually Paramashiva's. If you do this, if you do so, what will happen is you will know, you believe something can happen, and you believe something can happen, you will make it happen. It will happen, you will take up responsibility to make it happen.
So what I feel is that why only when we believe something that something will happen, it will manifest in our life, and what we want and what we think we deserve that or something like that will not manifest is because see when we see we already see that it has happened, then only it will happen. Only now example, if I have a car, only if I already see, if I have that possibility, that space of possibility, that space of understanding and trust on Paramashiva, and when I ask with that belief and with that understanding, if I ask, oh Paramashiva, let me manifest example, let's say Jaguar car or a Audi car, whatever we want. If we want a car or we want a big mansion, let Paramashiva, I want this to manifest in my life. When we have this kind of confidence and belief that Paramashiva will manifest it and Paramashiva wants to manifest it for me, then only it will manifest. Because Paramashiva also wants to test us, because he knows what we need and what we want. He only gives what we really need or what we think that we need. Because if we feel that I want this, I want that, I want this, we will start losing our integrity and losing our respect for Paramashiva, because you think, oh, Paramashiva is there, he is already waiting to give it to me. Actually, yes, he is waiting to give, but we will lose the respect for Paramashiva. We will think that he has to give us something, because in a manner like he's like our slave or he's under us, and we will lose that respect and trust on Paramashiva, and we will start becoming arrogant. So Paramashiva wants to test us, see whether we are capable, whether we are we will be authentic to whatever he gives, whether we will have respect, and whether we will have gratitude for him. Only after he knows that we will do all this, then only he gives it to us.
There's a beautiful story said by Ramakrishna. Once a person goes and sleeps under a tree, okay? Once he goes and sits under a tree, what happens is, as he is sitting, suddenly he'll think, it will be very nice if I get a very king like food. So suddenly from the ground, a plate of awesome food that which fits for a king will come. Okay? So then once he eats to his hearty content, then he will think, okay, it will be very nice if I have a very good very good cushion bed for sleeping. And suddenly from the ground, from under him, a bed will come and he will just lie down, and when he is about to sleep, he will have one more wish. I wish there are two women who will be there to fan me when I am sleeping. And suddenly from nowhere, two kanyas will appear and start fanning him. And then what will happen is, he will think, okay, all this is good. What if a tiger suddenly appears and kills me? And a tiger appears and kills me. This is what will happen if we want to, if whatever we want to happen will happen. If you see, only if it is in our belief, Paramashiva is making sure it is strong, you want it, and you are not going to repent once you get it. You want to make sure that, so that you don't harm yourself by it. So that's why he gives you. That's why he waits for you to make yourself believe that it will happen and then gives you. Otherwise you will end up like the same man who manifested a tiger and got himself killed.
I would also like to add a point. Like how Paramashiva Maharaj told that we'll start using Paramashiva as a slave, and we'll always think that he has to give whatever we want. And like that we'll also start taking him for granted. We'll start thinking, anyways he's going to give me whatever I want, so I can use this, and I can do whatever I want with this. Anyways he's going to give me anything, even if I lose this I can get more. And like if suppose he gives a car, then you think I can drive fast, even if I go direct somewhere, anyways I can get one more car. Like that you'll be thinking and you start taking for granted.
Adding to what you have said, that like how Swamiji said in one satsang, it is not that what you desire what happens, what you really believe it happens. There is a difference between what you desire and what you believe. Like how Paramashiva Maharaj said that some of them may think Paramashiva will give you anything you want. You do meditation, you do puja, you listen, and he will grant you anything. Yes, Paramashiva is ultimate. Cosmos is a big tatastu. Whatever you desire or whatever you want, you cherish it, it will happen. Cosmos will give tatastu. But first of all, he will test it. He will see whether you really want it, or whether you will take him for granted, or whether you will just keep on asking unnecessary things it is not needed, or which is going to empower your life or make your life powerless. So it is based on not what you desire, what you believe in. If you really believe something and you want it to happen, it will surely happen and manifest that as a reality.
And also if you see in our everyday life, what happens is we always believe, we always want something, we don't want. If you always want something, what do? We try to work for it now, because we don't have some supplier immediately you will just take and give. So you don't want to suffer all your life. So what you do, you will work for something. But once you know you can manifest reality and you will start misusing it. Once you start misusing it, what will happen? One time, of course, you will have all positive thoughts. You will tell, I want a RD car, and you will manifest. So many things will manifest. If it is based on your desire. And of course, again, you will end up killing yourself by doing something, or you will go get into an accident where you will not be able to connect to Paramashiva, the pain you are experiencing. So at the time, you will completely blame everything on Paramashiva, telling, oh, see, he gave me everything and never warned me to do anything. So at last he is only treating people like this. So that's what we will get a bad impression of Paramashiva in our life, and again do a droha to Paramashiva, for which we will again suffer in all our lives.
I have a question. How can we manifest our reality?
So I feel the way we have to manifest our reality is that we have to start believing and respecting and also have gratitude to whatever we already have. Now only when we have gratitude to whatever we have, we will get more and more in our life. So only when we take responsibility for what we have, then only we get freedom. Only freedom brings only responsibility brings freedom. So when we start taking more and more responsibility and have more and more gratitude for Paramashiva for whatever he is giving, and because if we have gratitude, our cognition about the way things are happening around us itself will change, and it will become more and more positive, that we will have more and more trust on Paramashiva, and Paramashiva will shower us with more and more. So one more thing, now there's a mantra that यत्किंचित् कर्म देवेश सदाशिवद्गुष्कृतं तन्मे शिवपदस्तस्य भुङ्क्षच्छवे शङ्कर शिवो दाता शिवो भोक्ता शिवः सर्वमिदं जगते शिवो यदि सर्वत्र यः शिवः सोऽहमेव तु. So in this mantra, what is the meaning of this mantra? That we give all, now at the end of the puja, we chant this mantra so that we can complete with Paramashiva for whatever mistakes we have done, for whatever and for giving Paramashiva all the punya we have got. We are not asking for anything. You shall keep everything, because once we give to Paramashiva, if we take one step to do anything for Paramashiva, Paramashiva will take 1,000 steps for us and make sure that it manifests. So we give even our papa and even our punya. So when we give our punya to Paramashiva, he will make it 1,000 times more and give us only what is good, because he knows what is good for us, and he will give all the punya in a multi-fold time. He will give it to us. So when we have gratitude and take responsibility for the things around us, whatever we want will automatically manifest.
For an example, like a rich person who want to have a nice house, who want to have a nice car, it manifests for them. It continuously manifesting. At one point of time, he'll be driving a car and he gets an accident, he gets hospitalized, they're asking for money for his operation. That moment of time, he's unable to pay. So that point of time, he decides something, he want to pay off the money for his operation. That point of time, the life gives him a lesson that there is nothing, there's no solution, he has to be stuck for some time. So that point of time, when you want something, when you desire something, that time you just take everything for granted. So when a situation occurs in your life, there is no gratitude towards that. You're not really being serious of what's going to happen, or you really want to manifest that. So in this, what I want to share is, whatever you desire or whatever you want to manifest as your reality, if it's happening, have gratitude towards each and every single thing which is happening towards you.
And also, if you see a very beautiful story in one of our Puranas, if you see one short happiness, Narada will be doing tapas. So when Narada was doing tapas, what happiness, Rishi Narada, when he was doing the tapas, what happiness, for a long time he will be doing. In the heaven, Indra will have doubt, why is he doing tapas? Because Indra is completely insecure of his throne, of Amaravati's throne. So what he'll do, he'll ask Brihaspati, for what is he doing tapas? Brihaspati will tell, maybe for your throne. So then Indra, what he'll do, he will send Kamadeva to Narada. He will send Manmatha to Narada, and Manmatha will shoot his Manmatha Bana. Manmatha is also called Kamadeva, the god of love. So what happens is, as he shoots his Manmatha Bana, the Manmatha Banam at Narada, for some time he waits and sees there is no effect on him. So what happens is, then Manmatha disappears, and then Narada after some time finishes his penance. So what he does, he is very happy, he is very egoistic, he is like, he wants to boast to someone. So what he does is, he goes to Shiva and tells, you know what, I conquered Manmatha, not just, you are not the only one to conquer Manmatha, no, I also conquered Manmatha. So then what happens is, Shiva tells blessings, super, wow, you have done a great job. But I warn you, don't go tell Vishnu about this. And then Narada, but still he was not in a mood to listen. So what he does is, he goes to Vishnu. He goes to Vishnu and tells, you know, Shiva is not the only one to conquer Manmatha, even I conquered Manmatha. Even I conquered this earth. Is it so? Very good. And then what happens is, Vishnu tells, but don't be so egoistic and arrogant. You don't know what will happen to you when you want. Delusion is unpredictable. Vishnu, the embodiment of Maya Shakti, what happens is, Narada leaves Vaikuntha and walks down through the planet Earth. On the way, he finds a very beautiful city. A very beautiful city. So Narada goes there. As Narada goes there, he goes and visits the king. He goes and visits the king. The king had a very beautiful daughter, Srimati, who was actually holding the king was holding a Swayamvara for her the next day. So what happens is, Narada tells, as he goes on, Narada tells, such a divine beauty, she will only have a husband as worthy as Srimad Narayana. Okay? So then what happens is, Narada goes back to Vaikuntha. Narada asks, I want a face of Hari. I want a face of Hari. Is it the face of Hari you want? Okay, take it. Vishnu blesses him. Then once Vishnu blesses him, the next day, Hari is also Vishnu. So what happens is, then Narada goes and sits in the court. He goes and sits in the court very confident that he is only going to win. So among the suitors, the Srimati was walking, seeing all the people who have come for the Swayamvara. So at that time what happens is, she comes close to him and then walks away. He is doubting, what happened, why? I am supposed to be beautiful like Vishnu himself. Why is it that I am so, why is that she hated me? And then she will walk and suddenly from nowhere Vishnu will appear. She will garland Vishnu and the Swayamvara is over with that. And then after that immediately Narada will get up and run to Vishnu and ask him, hey, why did you cheat me? I asked you for the face of Hari and what have you done? And then what will happen is, Narada, I have given you a face of Hari. You look at the mirror. Then Narada will go look into the mirror. It will be a monkey face. God knows why, but it will be a monkey face. So what will happen is, he will come and ask, why did you give me a monkey's face? I asked you for Hari's face. I asked you for your face and you gave monkey's face. So it was just, you were jealous, you wanted this princess, so you cheated me. And then Vishnu will tell, no, you see the amount of delusion you have got into. You are so boasting that you are never caught by desire, you have overcome desire. And in that, now in the grips of desire, what you have got so deep that you forgot the other meaning of the word Hari is also monkey. So Narada then realizes and falls at Vishnu's feet and then accepts, and Vishnu gives back him his normal face. But if you can understand from this, each of us can manifest our reality, true. But if we are already caught in delusion and we don't know what is good for us. So Paramashiva is giving us what we need. What we need and what is good for us, he gives us what we want so that we don't harm ourselves.
I have a question. How do we make ourselves a Kalpataru? How do we become a Kalpataru for others also?
So what I understood is like, first thing, if you see the Kalpataru itself is the embodiment of Paramashiva. So only a person who is directly embodiment of Paramashiva, who is completely dipped inside Paramashiva, only he will be able to give boon to others, because giving a boon to others is making them believe that they really need that to happen. So for example, if you see that you won't be needing Paramashiva when you really believe something is going to happen. So Paramashiva's only work will be to make you believe and to make you understand that you need to have this and it is really going to be good for you. So once you understand that you can make this feeling to other people that yes, you are really going to have this. That's what Swamiji always says. He says that I am not the person who is giving you boon. I just make you feel that you need the boon. So once you feel, because you are a source of that Paramashiva, means there is a part of you which has Paramashiva. So once you really understand that this is a really need for you and you can really manifest it, you will see that it will automatically happen. You won't need any other person to come and help you and all. All that you need is just a will, a decision, a very strong decision that you need to have it, and it's going to be enriching and helping other people.
And what I think by what you can become a Kalpataru is that you teach the science of manifesting reality for yourself to others. When you enrich, the space of Paramashiva in you will become very radiant. You see like how Swamiji described this great path. Paramashiva will manifest through you. You will shine like gold. You will be very Tejasvik like Paramashiva. So what will happen is, you will see not just mental changes, even physical changes you will see. Physically you can see, you will change a lot. So what will happen is, when you have such a thing, you will be able to enrich others. When you give the signs of manifesting a reality for yourself to others, they will manifest the reality. And once they start manifesting reality, they will pass, like this a virtual cycle is formed. So by this, you will get more and more rooted into Paramashiva, and at last you yourself physically manifest Paramashiva in yourself.
What I understood from some experiences, where like Swamiji tells the person who really wants something is the person who comes, when they come in front of me, like after the Pada Puja, they come and they ask whatever they want. They'll have that question. When the Pada Puja is going on, every time they're beating, I want this. Correctly, when they go in front of Swamiji, they just feel blank. The people who don't have any desires will be the people who are the culprit, who manifest the reality.
So I have a question, like how Swami says, how Swami says that the whole universe is a tatasthu to you. All that you need to do is to make a decision and to really believe you need to have. So like what is the, means now if everything is going to happen, if you are going to believe, what if you believe something wrong, like you really believe that you have to cause some bad to somebody, you really believe that something has to happen, which is not really good. So what will happen in that case? Will Cosmos really give tatasthu for everybody who has a strong decision?
Swamiji told that Cosmos is a canvas, a big canvas in which Tathastu is written. So whether you want to do good or bad to others, it is Tathastu, it will happen. But what I think is, but for you to get that much into belief and to make sure that you don't get any such bad cognition and all that, just unclutch from whatever is happening. For example, you fought with your boss in your office that day, just unclutch from it. You might be tensioned, of course, for some time it will be there, but just try to unclutch. Just drop all the thoughts. Sit and unclutch. Listen to Swamiji Satsang. So much, actually by doing this, you will be able to avoid bad thoughts and bad belief in you. When you are able to do this, naturally you will be able to avoid bad belief, bad thoughts, bad intentions and all that. But even if it is a bad intention, Cosmos is a canvas of Tathastu, it is given Tathastu.
And I would like to add, and even before Paramashiva giving you the ability to ask about something bad, he would have surely done something and made you unclutch or do something, and you would not even have got that thought. If you knew about this Kalpataru or anything, and you ask anything, Paramashiva, before even you could ask something like that, he would have just made you unclutch from that and just made you forget about it.
What I understand or what I feel is that when we really believe that something bad should happen, it does happen. As Tattva Maharaj told, that Cosmos is a big Tathastu. Even if you want some bad to happen, it will happen. Because many times after experiences, what I've understood is if we have a when we have a small belief even in the corner of our mind that this will happen to me, or example, my phone is going to I've got a new phone, and then in the corner of my mind, what will happen if your phone falls into water? What will happen if your phone breaks? That small cognitions in us will manifest some other time in the future. It does manifest. Whatever we want, negative or positive, it does manifest in us.
I have a question. Swamiji once said in a satsang that whatever you aspire for is always granted by consciousness, by cosmos. So, what is aspiration part of your belief, or aspiration is a desire?
What I feel is aspiration is something that you really believe. If you really aspire to become, see, there's a big difference between want or desire and aspiration. When you have an aspiration to complete, or you have an aspiration to become, example, you have an aspiration to become a doctor, you have an aspiration to become a pilot, you really work towards that. It's not just like another desire which you think that even if it happens or not, it's not a problem. You really work. Now, if you have an aspiration that you want to become a doctor, and in the course of life, you will surely become a doctor. You will study as much as possible to become a doctor. You will work in that field. You will go towards that. Aspiration is not just like another desire. So all aspirations are fulfilled and granted by Paramashiva. I have a question. What does Swamiji mean by thoughts are all the thoughts are dead snakes, and our will persistence and our will energy is only alive?
I would like to answer this question. So basically what Swamiji is telling, the will persistence is the man walking, and the dead snakes are the thoughts are laying as dead snakes in his spot. So what the man does, he just moves all the snakes. So when you are trying to do something or reach a goal, that time the will persistence keeps you going on. But the dead snakes come in your path and try to stop you. But the will persistence, as the only alive man, comes and continuously moves all the dead snakes, and at last you reach the goal, or whatever you want to do happens.
And what I understand by that, if you see dead snakes, thoughts are always based on past or a vague future. If you see anywhere you go sit, in any class you go sit, all that you will be doing after some time, shut down your eyes, shut down your ears, you will be thinking, okay, what am I going to do for my son's marriage, or what am I going to do for my work tomorrow, what is there to do today, or what am I going to do once I am going to go back to my office, how will I be after this, and all such thoughts. That's what happens every time. If you see a thought, it is always not connected. It's not connected and it's a waste. It's like you are trying to, if you go dig and find out what your thought really means, it's like going and digging a dustbin and trying to find a very beautiful thing, very much useful. Of course, you will not find anything and it's of no use anyway. And same way, a thought is either always connected to past, or something which is not reality. A thought is not reality or not always connected to the past. So it is like dead only. It doesn't have any meaning, so it is dead. That's what Swamiji means by dead snake. Whereas a will, if you have a will to do something now, I have a will say to break a tree, or to plant a tree, to grow something, to make my own vegetables in the garden, or whatever. If you have a will to do something, you do it because it is present moment, presently happening for you. It is that the Kundalini energy in us, lying in the base of our spine, in the Mooladhara Chakra, the Kula Kundalini, rises to us, our third eye, and make sure that the will we have manifests. So that's what is the difference between a living snake and a dead snake. If you see a dead snake is already dead, long back gone, or it's not real. So it is a waste of time looking at it, going through whether a snake can come back alive or something. Whereas a living snake, if you see like our will, this present moment, continuous, happening now. So whatever we want, using that we can manifest.
Okay, with this, we will share the essence of the Vakyartha Siddhas. If you want to manifest your reality, manifest Paramashiva in yourself and use your will persistence to reach your goal. With this, we conclude the Purnam.
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओं तत्सत् सर्वं भगवद्गीतानन्दपरमशिवपादकार्पणमस्तु
Om Nityanandam.
Nityanandam